What's up, y'all? It's your girl Shay Renee, and today we are going to talk about Sistas Season 4, Episode 17. And can I tell you something? Tyler Perry, we're going to have to get this story together with Maurice because it's giving. I can skip through those scenes. All right, let's get into it, shall we? All right, y'all. So the episode continues with from last week with Q and Calvin sitting on the couch, and they're trying to allude. Last week they tried to allude to the fact that and Calvin were going to sleep together, or whatever the case may be. Even in the previews, they try to make it seem like Q and Calvin was in the bed together, which technically they were, but we're gonna get into that. So Q is basically trying to coerce Calvin into taking him in his bedroom, like to have his way with him for money. And I'm like, this is not realistic. Like, come on, Tyler. We gotta find another way to write this up because this just does not happen every day. Like, first of all, Q would never be living here. That's the first thing. He would have never been able to give somebody Maurice's address. That's the big second thing. And thirdly, I understand that you're trying to personify men that are kind of looking like they're on the DL, but they're not. They just like certain sexual preferences of things to go on in the bedroom, if what have you. But and they want a woman to do it, not a man. So that doesn't make them gay. So I feel like he's trying to tell a story through this whole interaction with Maurice, Q, and Calvin that I just am not understanding just yet. So it's giving weird. But anyway, Q continues to try to push himself on Calvin, and Calvin was like, no, I know I said I like dildos and toys and stuff, but I want Sabrina to do it. I love a beautiful woman, or I want to be with a beautiful woman named Sabrina. I don't want to do anything with you. So then Calvin gets up in this drunken stupor. He thinks the freezer is his bedroom, child. Then he goes into Maurice's room and passes out. So he's yelling from the room, telling Q, leave him alone, and all this, that, and the third. So I'm like, it's giving hot mess. Okay. So in the next scene, the ladies arrive at Karen's house, and Karen is riding that pony, okay? And they bust in on her while she getting bust down. And they're like, oh my God, what the heck is going on? So Karen immediately jumps off of him and puts her robe on, child, and goes outside to talk to the ladies. So the ladies are like, so what's the goings on? I thought you just said you was in love with Zach, but you was riding it. I don't know what, and you was riding it pretty well. Ride him cowgirl. Okay. So they were like, well, did you go to the doctor today? Like, we heard that you went to, we think you went to the doctor. And she was like, who told you I went to the doctor? And they were like, well, we went to the salon and you were booked solid, but Pam said that you hadn't been there all day and you were with Aaron. So we assumed that you went to the doctor. So she was like, yes, I went to the doctor. And they were like, okay, so tell us what happened. Like, what's going on? And of course, we want to drag this scene out. She could have easily told them right then and there that she was barely 4 weeks pregnant. But of course, for the minutia of it all, we got to wait 50 to 11,000 scenes until we talk about it. So she's like, I will talk to y'all tomorrow about it. Like, go ahead, get out of here. So then they leave. And they agree that, okay, we'll wait till tomorrow to talk to you about it. So she goes inside to talk to Aaron. Aaron then got fully dressed at this point because now his brain is taking over and not the D. And he's like, listen, I think we both are, I think this is going to confuse things. I don't think this is what we really need to be doing. And Karen is like, no, this is what we really need to be doing. Like, you need to finish me off. Like, what the heck? And he was like, no, you're confused right now. It's a lot going on, and I love you. I'm going to be here for you. So this is nothing to feel bad about that we're, not finishing up right here, but I don't think this is good for us. And she's like, but didn't you just say we care about each other? And he's just like, well, listen, what you're not understanding is I have feelings too. So with us having these rump sessions and whatnot, it's confusing for me and it sets me up for failure and my emotions are all over the place. So I think we just need to kind of chill out. I'm gonna give you your space and give you some time to think things through, because obviously from it's like 1 minute you want me, 1 minute you don't. It's like it's given all over the place. So I'm gonna go ahead and head out. And we're gonna talk tomorrow. We're gonna talk tomorrow. So he leaves out, and then Karen is like, damn, like what the heck? Them bitches. I should have never let them in. So I'm like, well, you didn't let them in. They kind of barged into your house, but whatever. So moving on, in the next scene, Andy meets up with Robin at her house, and she's all sexied up, ready to get drilled, and they're getting ready to get into the boudoir, and she thanks him for getting Fatima out of jail. And he says, oh, no question, no problem. This is not a quid pro quo type of situation here. I'm doing it for you simply because I want to. And then he says, but it does come with guilt, I'm sure, for you. And she's like, what the heck are you talking about? He was like, you still love him. Like, you still want to be with Gary. And she was like, no, I don't. And he was like, yes, you do. It feels like you still do. And she's like, I don't want to be with him. And that's insulting or whatever. So then he says, you're a woman. She's like, why would you think that I still want to be with Gary? And he was like, because you're a woman. And she's like, what the heck is that supposed to mean? He says, you're careful, deliberate, and strategic, a woman. And so she says, those things are correct. And she says, but anyway, are you going to do what I want? And he's like, what is it that you want? So then she's like, you know what? Let's just let things flow. And then she pours him a drink and they end up humping and rump sessioning. Okay. Meanwhile, Peeping Tom Gary is in his office, child. So he didn't have cameras in her house, but he has a telescope in his office that he's looking at to look into her apartment to see what she's doing. So apparently he sees them getting it on and he over there watching, pissed the hell off. And Jake comes in and catches him watching them. And he's like, dude, what the heck are you doing? So Gary jumps and he's like, Jake's like, what's going on? Like, what's wrong with you? And Gary's like, I didn't know anybody was here. And he's like, what the heck, dude? So he's like, you need a drink? So he pours him a drink. He's like, what's wrong? And Gary says, have you ever done anything stupid for a woman? And he says, Jake says, you got some time? So Gary is like, she's over there fucking that dude. And he's like, who, your ex-wife? And he's like, no, Andy. So he is all flustered over seeing Andy over there getting it on with Robin. So he gets upset. He, doesn't have his drink with Jake and he storms out. So Jake looks through the telescope to see what the heck Peeping Tom was over here looking at. And he was like, damn, he giving her back shots. Oh my goodness. He's like, nope, this ain't right. So he leaves out as well. So in the next scene, Maurice comes home and he sees Q laid in his bed with Calvin right on his crotch with a throw up trash can right next to the bed. So I'm just like, Q was fully clothed in the first scene. Why all of a sudden he in his boxers now? Mind you, when he was supposed to be asleep on the couch when Calvin came in, he was fully clothed. So why all of a sudden he don't have no clothes on? Is this just for shock value for Calvin to have his face in this man's crotch? Like, come on now. So anyway, Maurice is like flabbergasted. He's like, what the hell is going on up in here? So Q was like, no, it's not what it looks like. I was just trying to help him. He's really messed up. And Maurice proceeds to tell Calvin to get the hell about his damn room. And Calvin's like, no, I can't. So Q helps him up and he gets him out of the room. And Maurice is like, what in the foolala is going on here? So he's like, get this throw up out of here as well. So Q carries Calvin over to his room. And I'm just like, what is this Tyler, let me just stop right here. I keep saying this in all my reviews. I really need for them to develop Maurice's character way better than this because it's given trash. Like, this stuff would not happen in real life. Like, anyway, moving on. So the ladies meet up in the morning at Karen's hair salon to basically talk to her about the whole, whether she's pregnant or not and what the doctor said. So they all sit down and Karen reveals to them that she's barely 4 weeks pregnant. So they all kind of do the math together and they realize that at this point, it's too close to tell who the daddy is, because around that time she was sleeping with both Zach and Aaron. So she's just kind of messed up in the head because she's like, I don't know who my daggone baby daddy is. So Danny is like, well, this is a good thing that it could almost be, Aaron's baby, because then that means that you can move on. And she's like, why would you say that to me? She's like, well, he's in love with Fatima, so why would you not be happy about this if it's Aaron's baby? And she's like, well, I don't want it to be his baby or whatever. And they're just like, what the hell is wrong with you? And they're like, he's a good dude, like, what's your problem? And she's like, I don't know, I'm just so confused, I don't know what to do. And of course, Sabrina and Andy, in typical fashion, are trying to shut Danny down, as Danny always tells the truth. She's like, I don't know why y'all always telling me to be quiet. I always tell the truth. Like, I'm not going to just be silent about it. So she's like, Karen, I get it that you're confused and everything, but why do you have to figure this out right now? You have a whole 9 months to figure this whole situation out. And she's like, what do you mean? And she's like, yeah, like, you don't have to figure it out. Like, you need to take some time to get your thoughts together and really figure out yourself. Like, you don't have to commit yourself to somebody one way or the other, like, right now. And Andy and Sabrina end up agreeing that that's probably the best thing for her to do. So then Danny airs Sabrina out and says, oh, and Sabrina's dating the prince. And Sabrina was like, Danny, I told you not to say anything. And she's like, you told me not to say nothing last night. But it's another day. So yeah, sis got a prince. And so of course Andy is all excited and whatnot. And she's like, oh my God, what is he prince of? Like, where is he from? And Karen over there looking like a damn hater. I'm like, Karen, listen, I know that you fake still in love with Zach, but Danny told the truth. He doesn't want you. Like, it's giving team entirely too damn much. Like, why are you holding on to this man? Why are you continuing to try to be with somebody that obviously doesn't want to be with you? Like, it's really, it's giving single white female. Like, you are a fatal attraction at this point. And you just need to let it go. Like, you can't force somebody to be with you. And just because you have a baby with somebody doesn't mean that they have to be with you. And that's that on that. So moving on, in the next scene, Andy is leaving as well, not this is not the next scene, but Andy is leaving out. The girls end up leaving because all of them have to go to work. So Andy stands back and she says, are you okay, Karen? And at this point, Pam has walked in with a brown bag. And Pam is like, oh, I'm okay, girl. It was just a little traffic. And Andy's like, girl, I'm not talking to you. First of all, why are y'all so rude to Pam? Pam ain't did shit to y'all. So why are y'all always being rude to this lady? Like, I get it. Pam is nosy and all that, and it's supposed to be made to be a parody, and it's so funny. But why do y'all talk to her like that? Like, it's really, really messed up that y'all talk to her like that. Who's Ann? Oh, what's up, Ann? She says, exactly. I don't know what the heck I said, but right on. Thanks for joining me, Ann. It's always a pleasure to have you in the chat. So then Andy asked Karen if she's okay. Pam then she says Karen says she's good, and then she says she's going to call her later. So Andy ends up leaving, and Pam comes over with this brown bag, and it has breakfast food in it. And Karen is like, girl, good and damn well I don't eat no damn breakfast. She's like, girl, just take it. Just eat it. You need something on your stomach. Like, you need to clear your head. You need to relax. And so Karen opens up the bag and smells it. And she's like, this smells good. I'm going to go ahead and take you up on your offer. So Pam says, you're not going to split it in half? And she's like, what are you talking about? Split this in half? Like, this is a meal for one person. And then she says, they say something about Pam being a mama. And Pam says, no, more like God mama. So I'm like, okay, this whole extraness in this scene, whatever. So Karen eats the food. Moving on. Hayden comes into Andy's office. What we got? And Ann says, girl, I would never miss it if I can help it. Thank you so much. I love y'all. So then moving on, y'all. Hayden goes into Andy's office and asks, how did she get, mind you, I'm on here so daggone late, Ann. Thanks for hanging out with me, sis. But anyway, Hayden goes into Andy's office and asks, how did she get Fatima out? Because he is pissed that his little plan is not falling into place the way that he thought it would. And she was like, I have my ways. He's like, no, 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 you don't just have your ways, because this wasn't no situation where you could just bypass this judge or whatever. And so Andy is like, I know people too. And he was like, no, 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 you don't know people, for you really had to know somebody to get something like this. He's like, okay, that's okay. I'm gonna figure it out. I'm gonna figure out what you did. So as he's walking out, Robin comes in, and Hayden immediately starts looking all awkward because, Robin then played the gay role in his office, making him think that he wants him. So then he says this awkward, all right, now I'm gonna go ahead and head out, Hayden. And so Robin was like, how you doing? How you feeling today? And I was just like, this is so awkward. Like, what is going on in this exchange? So Andy is like, what is going on here? And Robin compliments Hayden, and Hayden's like, all right, I'm gonna go ahead and head out. So Andy sees that this is awkward and weird. So Robin is laughing. He's like, I told him I was gay. And she was like, that's hilarious. So then they begin to talk about Hayden, and then they talk about after they talk about Hayden and him being gay. Then he tells her that he can't get Zach out. It's going to be difficult to get Zach out because he has a record, and so it's going to be a longer time period. But he's still working on it. And she says that she appreciates him continuing to try to get him out. But he also tells her, well, I can at least get Fatima in to see him, but she has to be accompanied by a lawyer. And Andy says, oh, that's not a problem. I'll take her down there to go see him. So anyway, now Robin is like, you want to have some more fun? Let's go. We have a meeting this morning. So they go out there to chat with the rest of the people in the office. So all of the lawyers are gathered out in the open entryway of the office. And the two older guys that own the law firm are there, and they're basically telling everybody that they're retiring. So as they're letting everybody know that they're retiring, they then go ahead and let them know that Robin owns a large portion of the highest shares of the company. They've sold it to him. And so he'll be taking over from here on out. And so everybody claps. Robin gives his speech saying, well, everybody, we're going to keep it as business as usual. Feel free to come by my office when I finally get one. And everybody laughs, and talk to me about anything you need to talk to me about. So then Hayden is looking like a deer in the damn headlights, child, because he's like, oh my God, I done spilled my guts to this man the other day about all this little dumb shit I've been doing. And this nigga owns the company. So now everybody walks off. Hayden walks up to Robin and says, congratulations, I guess. And so Robin says, oh, thanks, man. But we're going to have a little talk about all that stuff that you told me in the office the other day. So, yeah, make some time, because we definitely going to have this conversation. And I'm like, please just fire him. Like, I am so done and over with Hayden. Like, all his little antics are just so extra and ridiculous, because it's just like, why are you doing all this stuff to ruin somebody's life that doesn't want you? It's like you're trying to break up Zach and Fatima as if Fatima is somehow miraculously going to be with you now that if they're not together. Like, I just think this is just very stupid and a waste of time. But moving on. So anyway, Robin goes to Andy's office after this whole meeting, and she congratulates him again. And he asked, did she enjoy the show? She said, yes, it was priceless. And Robin invites her to New York on his jet, but she declines because she says she has a lot of work to do. So moving on, Andy calls Fatima to tell her the good news that she can go and visit Zach. And then Hayden calls Gary and tells him Robin owns the company and that he's gay. And Gary says, when did he tell you that? Exactly when did he tell you that in the conversation? And Hayden's like, no, listen, I'm telling you, he's gay. Like, he even was he wants me. Like, he was hitting on me and everything, giving me the eye. And Gary was like, aren't you a lawyer? And Hayden was like, yeah. He's like, so you can't tell when somebody's lying? That dude is lying. And Hayden was like, man, you got this all wrong. I'm telling you, that man is gay. Gary says, bye, Hayden. And he gets off the phone with him. I'm like, this dude is so far gone. So in the next scene, the last scene, Fatima visits Zach, and he says he's ready to risk it all for her, and that Hayden is a bitch. That's why he had to do what he had to do where it comes to him. And so Fatima was like, yeah, I got your back too, but like, this is crazy that you're still in here. Like, we got to figure out how to get you out. So Zach then turns to Andy and says, well, I got money in the house. Like, I got money now. So what's up? What's the bail? Let me go ahead and get on up out of here. And Andy says, well, It's not that simple, unfortunately. We're still trying to, I'm trying to pull some strings and make some phone calls. I got Robin working on it. He's like, who the fuck is Robin? She's like, oh, Robin owns the company, and he's a ally of mine that's trying to help get you out of here. And she says, you guys really got to think about all this stuff that you're doing, like all this ghetto stuff that you're doing to, hood stuff that you're doing to get back at people. It's just not working out for you. Like, you're letting Hayden win because you're in jail. Now you have a restraining order on you at work. Like, it's just a whole lot. And y'all are allowing him to intervene in y'all relationship by giving him any attention. So then Andy proceeds to say, because I'm just as hood as the rest of them too. I'm from the street. And they were like, what street? Beverly Hills? Because I'm like, Andy, I know you're lying. Ain't nothing street about you, sis. The only thing that you know about the streets is when you walk on them. And that's it. Nothing street about you, sis. So I'm going to need you to never say that again. So as they're talking and kind of making fun of her, saying, yeah, I know you lying, the DA walks in and he says, basically tells Zach that he's not getting out because, yes, he wasn't on probation, but now he is, because it was contingent upon him not having any cases against him or something like that. All of it really sounds very fake. Like, if you're not on probation, you're not on probation. So how can you all of a sudden be put right back on probation just like that because you owe child support? Like, that's silly. So anyway, he's saying because he owes child support and didn't show up to court or whatever the case may be, he's now back on probation. So that makes it where he's denied bail, and they're going for 10 to 15 years of him being in jail. So now shit is hitting the fan and they don't know what to do. So Andy is like, there's nothing we can do about this. And so then it ends. The episode ends. Y'all, I am so ready for Zatima to start. Like, these storylines on Sisters are becoming more and more unrealistic day by day. Like, it's just excruciating watching this stuff going on. Like, I need for their relationships to develop. Like, Andy, who are you going to be in a relationship with? Are you going to keep playing games with Gary, or are you going to move on and be in a healthy relationship with Robin without threesomes? Like, you need to start. Robin is so concerned about, which kind of kills me, because Robin is so concerned about Andy wanting to be back with Gary, but you just had her doing a scene of Twa and a threesome last season. So it's like, you talk about how much you love to have fun and you this womanizer or whatever the case may be, but you worried about her being monogamous where it comes to you. So I don't get it. And Gary, you are such a creeper. Like, you sitting up here watching this girl's every move. Like, it's just like, sir, it's giving creep. Like, you need to get yourself together, because this is just ridiculous. Then with the, like I told y'all, the whole Maurice situation, like, that is just so unrealistic. I would rather him just get close to the girls, and that's how we develop his character. Because this whole stuff with Q being on his couch, like, I need Q to get on, like, get out of here. And last but not least, Sabrina and Danny. Like, I'm gonna need Danny's relationship to build with the cowboy or the stripper or the security man, something. I'm gonna need her to show some growth in relationships with somebody. And Sabrina, go on with the prince, girl. Go with the princess, because listen, Calvin ain't it. And Tyler, I get it. You may be, in love with all these characters or whatever, but somebody got to go. Like, you can't write all of these people into the show because all of them don't make sense for the show. Every show has it where there's a revolving character at some point. Like, you got to get rid of some of these extra people because they just don't fit into the full scope of what's happening with the main core characters, the sisters. So something got to give. Like, I'm hoping in this next episode shit don't be dragging out and we can figure some things out, because Tyler needs some writers, child, like ASAP. And the one says, yes, it sucks when the writer doesn't know who the characters are. It's hard to follow. Yeah, it's like ridiculous. Like, I'm gonna need somebody, gotta go. Like, Calvin, if the relationship is not going to work with him and Sabrina, he needs to leave. He needs to get off the show. Period. Q, need to be written off of the script, because for what? He clearly doesn't want to be in a relationship with Maurice and doesn't care about him. He's clearly there just for the money. And once Calvin tells him that, we need to go ahead and move on. Like, it's given, I'm done. So anyway, y'all, thank y'all for watching. Please, please, please don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and share this video with anybody else that watches this show too. And I will see you in the next video. Peace out.